Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. We are going to go ahead and start. We're running a little bit behind, but you know what? That's okay. You know what's even worse? The fact that the Terraria stream didn't even happen yesterday. Sorry about that. Some stuff came up. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this at the usual time because as most of you know if you've been following this channel, oh, I'm excited now. And now we are going to get into the fun. Now we're getting to the stuff where I'm actually blind. I don't know anything that happens from this point on in this game. So it'll be interesting to see where all this goes, the questions that are going to get answered, stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to go ahead and dive right in because I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I don't think there's any other news or anything like that. The only other thing I will say is that I've continued to play with my resolution and CPU load and things like that, and we're going to see how well this works. I know YouTube is already complaining that my resolution is not optimal, and it's like, well, friggin' deal with it because we don't have much of a choice. But right now OBS is running surprisingly light, so it's cut down quite a bit. VTube Studio's cut down quite a bit. The game's obviously running high, but that's to be expected. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and kill my browser because that's still having an impact on my CPU load naturally, so I'm going to go ahead and wait for that to close. But then we are going to go ahead, you know what, I'm not going to wait for that to close. I'm going to go ahead and get right into this. So let's go ahead and start this up. It is time. Where's my screen? Where's my game? There we go. Took a minute for that to register. There we go. Browser gone. I'm just checking the CPU load, seeing if there's anything else I can get rid of. Things are slowly shutting down. All right. I ran a bunch of tests over the over Friday and Saturday just to see how things were going to turn out. Again, it'll be interesting to see how it looks on the playback. It looks fine right now, but we're going to see because, like I said, YouTube was complaining, "Oh, your resolution is not optimal." I'm like, "F you! I'll go for a suboptimal resolution if it means I'm not playing at 3 frames per second." So let's go ahead and get into this bad boy. The Memoirs of the Clouded KOKORO. This is the first time the chapter hasn't started with the adventures of. And, well, again, this is a flashback case, which we inferred from how the last case ended. But this is especially going to be, it sounds like a flashback to something involving Soseki and something revolving around the 4th case. Not just Soseki, but I think this is going to be when we see those 2 people come back that we saw for like 5 seconds. The dude with the big chin and the dude dressed like a clown jester. So we still don't know what the deal is with them. I have a feeling they're going to show up here, but let's find out. We don't have to wonder. We can just start the game. Hell yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, here we go.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road.
Boy, Olive Green lost some weight.
As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved.
It was Soseki again.
But
there he is.
No sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight than in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night.
What? Are we doing a bit of a retcon
say
here?
Most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene,
We'll see about that.
It only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Yeah, there's our jester dude. Is he going to be the victim? Who's the victim in this case? Is it going to be Olive Green again? Does her back just attract knives? Okay, so is this back before? Is this back when Suzuto was still in England? I also noticed, like, I haven't spoiled myself again. This is supposed to be a blind play, but just getting a glimpse of how long these cases are for the sake of, you know, just figuring out how I'm going to stream. I did skim over just kind of the basic, I guess, flow of the cases. It looks like we're going to finally have cases where we have investigations and then trials and then another investigation and then another trial, you know, like back in the day. You know, in the last game, we barely had any cases where there was an investigation and a trial at all. Most of the cases were either a trial or an investigation, but not both. And the only trials that were just an investigation and a trial, and that was it. So now we're probably going to get into some long stuff. Looking forward to it. Oh yeah, I guess I should be reading these. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particular grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, 4 months ago, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I've lost my right to return. 4 months ago. Well, that timeline's not adding up. Because if we are back in Soseki Land, that trial was like 2 months after we even got here. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale, a tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. I'm assuming he's talking about the case with the metal discs and Eggs Benedict and all that. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Uh-oh. Also, I'm hungry. What a delicious smell wafting up those stairs. I've instantly forgotten about my letter. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Holmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. That's not very nice. She's not that... well, she's 10, so... Imagine getting called that. What a name. Here we are, and there she is. Ah, Ryu, good. Oh, again, reminder, we're running with the DLL that replaces all the wrong names with the correct names. So we are Ryu, Holmes is Holmes, etc. Now I gotta remember those names. Or voices, I mean. What? I gotta remember not to skip people's lines either. Ah, Ryu, good. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Close enough. Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I have a surprise this morning. Surprise! Not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Hang on, I need to digest this sentence. Alright, good enough. Morning to you too, Mr. Holmes. See how I just said hi with one word? You know, we can break up the $10 words later. Ah, yes. I see. So that's it. Dude, you want a breath mint? The truth is as clear as day to me. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Didn't I tell him that? Flat out? Well, is that not the case? Good job repeating back to me what I just said. Really, my dear fellow, it barely wants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Let me just tell you how I deduced all these things that led me to the conclusion of what you just told me 5 minutes ago. Secondly, you've neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? I feel like that's something Ryunosuke could just interject into almost any of Holmes's discourses at any given time. But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? Good observation. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Oh. Holmes, he pulled your button off? Wait, did I do that? Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then that in my vexation I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. You're like the worst landlord. 1 star on Yelp. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. But Holmesy, Ryu said it when he came in, didn't he? Thank you, Iris. Again, the only one in the room with a brain. I had a surprise this morning. Ah, yes. Well, that really is a surprise. Can I slap you? Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, and boy doesn't that say a whole lot. The famous consulting detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I kind of wonder what happened to Tobias Gregson, actually. I wonder if we're going to get an update on him. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. All right then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too. My latest special blend. Also, where's Gina? She should be wandering around here at some point. And here we have Iris Watson, Mr. Holmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yeah, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is published in Rance magazine. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of all misery? What surprised you this fine morning? I'm kind of doing the general bailiff English accent instead of Holmes's, but I can't keep track of all these terrible accents that I do. Come on. Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right. And she had some rather startling news, in fact. Incidentally, the stream seems to be running pretty good. Again, I'm curious what it's going to look like in playback with the resolution, if YouTube's going to make it look blocky or whatever, but gosh, at least it looks smoother. So much better. Rather startling news, yeah. Ah, intriguing. You must tell us about it over breakfast. Oh, yes, what fun. I haven't even read it yet. Okay, first things first, I gotta examine things for achievements. If I think if I look at this, he talks about a carbuncle or something. What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle. Hey, I got it right. Yes, it's from a case of theft that Holmesy solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see, especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Then how did it eat itself? Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh, so it's like a red herring. The blue carbuncle is the new red herring. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh? Interesting. I think we can do something else. I don't want to talk to you. I want to get my Steam achievements. Wait, I get green text going up here? What the hell? Why am I hearing a typewriter? Oh. Excellent, okay. That was a bit mystifying. The office spade. Now that Suzuto's gone, the shovelers aren't represented to correct me. I like that. Now that Maya's gone, I can call it a ladder all I want. Maybe I'll have to do it myself. That's not a spade, Naruhodo. It's a shovel. Alright. Have my fun. Back to progress. Alright, asshole. What you got for me? What? No, that's not what I wanted. I just instinctively didn't want to talk to you, so I pressed the wrong button by accident. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by International Post. Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful handwriting. I wish I could read it. It's all in hiragana. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appears as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? I don't know how she got in there. Women aren't allowed. You could above your good self, my dear fellow. Hey, I did it too. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared at the trial as a witness. That's Seki-san. Natsume. Nope, don't recall that name. You still have his cat. Of course you do. We helped the man twice. Yeah, that's the thing. We still need that flashback case, because we only helped him once, that we know. You know, in those 2 cases, not the 1 case, the 2 case that took place on Briar Road. 6 months. Did Seiseki get accused of murder, like, twice, like double murder? Is that why he's not dead yet? He got prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey twice in quick succession, and the curse just kind of undid itself? It's like a Boolean operation. Oh, the mustache twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. Yep, you remember the right guy. As soon as you said twitchy. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Holmesy. I don't know, you seen that guy's eyebrows? Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? You. They made a very deep impression on me. I'm going to make a deep impression on you. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. Very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Startling news. Have I read this letter yet? I don't think I have. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Suzuto? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Holmes? Oh, yes. It's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. Ah, he remembers it well. He's totally forgotten then. This guy's got the memory span of a goldfish. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Suzuto asked that we read her over her case notes again and investigate further. Oh, okay. So this ties into what we saw at the end of the last case, where Seiseki told us that Suzuto's father sort of interrogated him on the nature of that case for some details, and we're not really sure why yet. And I guess this is the response. So maybe we'll skip to the flashback in a minute. We'll just go flashback in a few minutes. Though it took place half a year ago. For what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. You guys keep talking about it when we get to do it. Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Suzuto's father questioned him about the case, she said. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Everyone's talking about this case like they all know about it, and it's just, you guys are insulting the player right now, you know? He doesn't have a clue what the hell you're talking about. And I compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript, ready for publication, too. Could we read that? But then Holmesy here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said, very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that, are you sure? It strikes me that Iris could get pretty much anything published by Holmesy rejecting it, then forgetting he rejected it 10 minutes later and just publishing it anyway. Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Holmes? I barely remember how I got out of bed this morning. What are you asking me? About why Miss Suzuto was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan. Okay, so that confirms it. This is 4 months after the Eggs Benedict. It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at Dover. And we had that really weird conversation about the metal disc Morse code message thing. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No, not quite. No, it just said he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. How do you deduce anything? But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? So Susie's dad lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodges. Could we please go back to that case, go back to that case, go back to that case, go back to that case? Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Miss Suzuto's father is hiding. Helmsy, do you know what it's all about? Wasn't even listening, was just getting dressed. Ah, well, who can say? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fault in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Holmesy. Don't worry. See you later. He scuttled off rather quickly there. Oh, he's hiding something. What do you know, Holmesy? What do you know? Are you the mastermind? There's always a mastermind in these games. Hopefully it's not pain, or I mean ouchie. I think perhaps Mr. Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soiseki was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Holmes. Aha! I found them at last. Iris, are they... The notes about the case. That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Ryu? Is this the actual case notes or just your interpretation? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets can still be hiding in the shadows of this case, but perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit. Flashback, flashback, flashback. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation in that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just needed to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Yeah, because nobody's hiring me. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Yeah, that's another story. Is that going to be the next flashback case? It's going to flashback all day? It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. Someone else got stabbed in the back, someone way thinner. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Either that or that picture of her was just artistic license. I can't, did someone else get stabbed? What happened here? Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. Is she unconscious because maybe she was part of the other case and we're going to have to talk to her? Because that case was weird. It's one of the few cases in this entire franchise that wasn't a murder. It was an almost murder, but it wasn't a murder. There was no reason why it didn't need to be a murder, because it's not like she was needed for the case. She was just needed as a victim. So that's... I'm still curious how that's going to play here. So that was the first case that we already know everything about. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attack her, except for the 2 people that saw her attack her. By a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. There he is. Yeah, those eyebrows could totally pass for mustaches. That man was Soseki. And the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Holmes. Oh, was that a fact? No. Well, I don't know. My wheels are turning. I don't know what's going on yet, but we're going to find out. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Suzuto and I decided to represent Soseki in court. Because these guys are all massive racists. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. And then we regretted it immediately because, man, this guy's a handful. Look at this guy. Always cranked up to 11. I got a headache just standing near him for 2 minutes. That was the man's reaction after the trial. Or indeed his reaction to almost anything. Such as when his bus arrives. Or when it's 5 o'clock. But his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. No, it wasn't. Trust me. It never stops. We received a telegram from Mr. Holmes the following morning. Ah, okay, here we go. I have to do more of Soseki's voice. That's, again, he's just exhausting. I'm not even around him. He's just a character in a game and he still exhausts me. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness and immediately pointed to Soseki as the... Hurry to bots at once. Immediately pointed to Soseki as the actual culprit. So Suzuto and I summoned a handsome what? And headed immediately to the hospital. A handsome horse? I feel like this is the exact same room that Holmes was in. There's only one hospital and there's only one room. Where's Dr. Hottie? There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Holmes. You look exactly the same as you do 4 months from now. I think not. Oh? You're late. What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Holmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right. It's 5:30 now. I think we made good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was woken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been aroused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Yeah. You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with the knife in her back. Why does this hospital have rats in it? I'm just curious. Her name is... Ah, yes, here we are. Miss Green. She's sitting right there. Stop talking about her in the third person. Oh, God, I'm going to need another woman's voice, aren't I? Is she going to have to get the Giselle Brett, just, again, more cockney? Well, let's see what she's like first. I don't think I have to examine anything in here for an achievement, do I? Actually, wait a minute. I can move. Why can't I go back to the legal? It is green text. I just like the idea of leaving Holmes to wait for a little while longer. Hey, look at her typing away. This is where you note down ideas. Is it more about the... Oh, is this the same thing? Buck up, Ryu. Oh, no, it's not. What? Buck up, Ryu. What is this? Oh, I'm just playing around with ideas for the title of the next month's installment. Why did the word installment only have one L? I'm not quite sure. Wait a minute, how'd you know it have only one L? You said it, you know. I can tell by the way you say it. Another idea I had was the barreled cornet. I'm really torn about which one to use. What do you think, Ryu? Anything but buck up, Ryu, obviously. I suppose you're right. I'll tell you what, I'll surprise you with it. You'll have to wait until next month and see. So many sleepless nights. Alright, well. That's all I needed from you. Why can't I go back to my office? It's like right up the stairs. If I can go across town to go back to Holmes's place, then surely I can just go the next floor up. All right. You... Wait a minute. Oh, that's a big move, isn't it? Wow, so much stuff in this room. Hey, you. Good morning. Okay, how do we deal with you? We could just go with a plain old English. She is a girl, but she almost looks like a guy. Just be generic. Well, let's see what her mannerisms are first. Hello, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Hopefully you're not racist, too. Oh, no. Was it your knife? Are you the man? Are you just saying that because I'm Japanese? You are racist. No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Suzuto Mikitoba. Pleased to meet you. Are you the one? Are you just saying that because he's Japanese? You are a racist. Suzuto, she doesn't mean it. No, wait, she does actually. Let's see. It's just the same line. I don't know. I haven't got a beat on this girl yet. No. I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best... I still don't know what... Best wishes for me, thank you. Okay. Oh, she's got paintbrushes all over her. Viridian. Oh, it's her name changed. She's not olive green anymore. She's Viridian green. Let me double check that real quick. Actually, it doesn't necessarily name all the names that get changed. Blup, 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 blup. Yeah, it doesn't mention that one. Okay, so she's not olive green anymore. She's Viridian green. Alright, fair enough. Viridian green. She's an artist, and as we can tell from her outfit. If Mamamomi from last chapter reminded me of Brushel, this girl reminds me of that fella from the same game. Drew, the one with the daughter. Your hair is better than his, though. I guess we'll just go with the irisy voice and feel it out from there. It's like, what? No, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. Maybe I'll give her like a crying inclination. She seems not a terribly happy camper. But the truth is, I don't really have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. I don't know if she can bend over backwards. Have you seen her? Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Even though the case is done, we should really be telling her what's going on. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. 4 days. That's rookie numbers for a coma. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? While I've been in here in the hospital, I mean. All of a sudden, Holmes jumps in. Yep. What's this? Time to steal some credit? Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly, by none other than I, Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Holmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard-working court that solved the case. Yeah. Suzuto, you tear a piece off because Ryu's too much of a bitch. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to come to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. Ugh. Oh no, we're all so relieved that you're all in the men, Miss Green. Really, we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Ha 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 ha. I guess we won't explain things because there's a police officer coming to do that anyway, so smell you later. So you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh, no. I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really. At the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. I mean, I'm trying to be an artist. I read the word art once. That's about it. Oh, my. An Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh, no, actually. Where am I exactly? Where is this hospital? I don't know. I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh, no. Is it? Interesting to me because I know things that I shouldn't, and I'm not telling anybody. Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is only a 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Centre. Does that matter, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps not. For Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means. Salubrious, yes. It's no longer morning, I can break out the $10 words. Including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means, I suppose Soiseki does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all. Yeah, what were you doing there? Now you're the suspect, even though you're the victim. Where were you on the night of? What's this? She's suddenly clamming up. What'd you do? Mr. Holmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh, dear me, do forgive me. If you wouldn't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh, yes, of course. We won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. This was super informative, except not. Are we done? Is that it? Am I investigating things now? Does it matter? Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh, wow, we're actually doing stuff in this room. We're just going to poke around. Oh, yes. It's a picture of a young gentleman. I've seen this guy's picture. I know he crops up somewhere. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? We're just going to... She's sitting like 3 feet away. My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. I don't. It was just the first thing that came to mind. Oh. Yeah, what Psy'Min said. Exactly what Psy'Min said. What Psy'Min says. That's it. The first thing I inspect... Really? Out of everything here, I inspected the one thing that progresses the plot. Okay, all right. Is there a... Oh, we're just going to keep messing up my name, are we? Is there a Mr. Narrow Fodder here? Mr. Narrow Fodder. Very skinny fodder. Narrow fodder now? Really, guys? Really? How would you like it if I went around and started calling Holmes Mr. Herlock Sholmes? You wouldn't like that very much, would you? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Oh, Mr. Narrow Fodder. Good. This is for you. It's a message from a Mr. Saucy Nutmeg. Saucy Nutmeg. Okay, well, that's clearly Soiseki. Mr. Natsue sent a message to me. I've been in England 4 months. My brain has just been naturally trained at this point to just recognize what people are saying when they're screwing up Japanese. But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Oh, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Why is it your business? Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Holmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? You know, I like your character, but you really need a slap every now and then. No, how could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Tell me it's not the boy that we just saw the picture of. He's dead now, or is it the jester dude? Murder? Actual murder, not fake murder like this girl. Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking maybe we ought to pay him his visit in his lodgings once we did. Or has he already been arrested? That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? He's not there. It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. Haven't you read it? The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? Did a pile of books fall on someone? I'll hail a fiacre at once. What? What do you say? Susato. Language. It was only yesterday that Soiseki was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Probably. So it seems to us at the time. But we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. There was just a pile of bodies in there, and Soseki was standing on it with a meat cleaver covered in blood and a twitch in his eye. Like even more of a twitch in his eye than usual, I mean. Oh, it is him. This isn't Soiseki's lodgings. I mean, this is like, what, the other floor of the same building? What on earth? Oh my. The gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead. You saying it like that more and more makes me actually doubt it. Oh, you're right here, are you? Why are you covered in blood, Soiseki? Locum, I don't want to do your voice. You're a crazy person. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this thing happening? Why to me? I only just got out of court. Yesterday! I was finally home after 2 days of misery, and then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without wiggle. Could you be without wiggle for like 5 minutes? I see you in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah! Not the horrible Sherlock Holmes. Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself to the door. I never invited you. Mr. Holmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. He did it. Arrest him. I am entirely ill-disposed, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Try remembering my name. Oh, hey. Oh, this is before the whole incident with Eggs Benedict, so he's still out and about. I'm still curious what happened to him, but in the meantime, business as usual. Ah, here they are already, the busybodies. Oh, Inspector Gregson, what a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at the crime scene, Holmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Let me dance around in my Roomba and spell it out for you. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. And I've already hidden your Roomba, so don't even try it. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Here's all the peeps. No, I was about to say, no arrows back and forth. What's Holmes hanging off of? Nothing right now? Is he just on the roof? Alright. Well. Oi, I said hands off. You're going to mess up a crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance. I know your kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Oh, someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Maybe if we could open the windows. Oh, wait, they're covered in bricks. Alright, sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first. Alright, spell it out for the player, why don't you? So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? What sort of pun did he have? Mr. William Pretenshi. He was a lodger here. William Pretenshi. I wonder if this is a name that got replaced by the mod 2. William Pretenshi. I'm not sure what that is as a pun. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens. Or just dead. Little gallows humor for you there. Mr. Pretenshi. It was the landlord, old Mr. Gerdab, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gerdab got worried and kicked the door down. He's a bit slight to be able to do that, be able to kick a door down, ain't he? Yeah, I was just about to say, doesn't Mr. Gerdab have a bad leg? I'll use the other one. Oh yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. You mean Soiseki? I would have said Honda would have just headbutted it. Really? Soiseki? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. He even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life, and a miserable end to it. So what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you send him away from the crime scene? Well, clearly he's Japanese, so he done it, right? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, or that he's Japanese, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit. I mean, cohabitator, yeah. This is racial profiling, I'll have you know. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? I'm recording this on my iPhone. I'm live streaming this, just so you know. This is on Twitter. Oh dear, Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. Certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Naruhodo, is that right? Wait a minute. Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. Did I have another? Oh, no, wait. Oh, wait, is this? It is just the same, okay. It's weird when they don't give you dialogue options to pick from, and it's like, okay, but he did have a check mark on him, so. We'll just speed through this, blah, blah, blah. That Japanese guy over there totally did this, though. We're waiting for the cops to come over, and I already called for people from Scotland Yard to take him in for arrest, so. We're going to skip the trial this time. It's pretty open and shut. I mean, the guy lives here as well, and look at him. Alright. Whoops. I just wanted to move my mouse. I didn't want to click. Yeah. Bad mood, bad mood, bad mood. Well, let's talk to Soiseki. What's your story? What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Yeah, I don't feel like yelling those out anymore, man. Sorry. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just one story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. How has your entire apartment not collapsed in on this guy just from all the books? So did you know the victim? Were you friends? I'll take that as a yes. I'll take that as a big yes. What's the matter with Soiseki now? Uh-oh. Look at him shaking. Kevin Bacon's getting closer. It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a police. Did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you never asked them, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? I regret every single time I have to talk to this guy, Suzuto, I'm telling you. Dude, I like you, we're fellow countrymen, but doing your voice is annoying. When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there! Well, Holmes is now hanging off the furniture, so we know what... Oh, he's not even, he's just walking like an Egyptian. How is it you guys do nothing but read British literature, but everybody here just strike... You clearly read JoJo. Like, look at you. You watch the manga, or you watch the anime. You read the manga. I'm investigating, naturally. I'm investigating how to walk like an Egyptian. There's nothing natural about that pose. Do you have a stand? Mr. Holmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been in here in this room 5 minutes. I bet that's his stand. His stand just gives him the right answers, but he doesn't know how the right answers have been come about. He just comes to him intuitively. So when someone asks him to show his work, he goes into his stupid little Roomba dance. And everything there is wrong, but somehow he gets to the right conclusion. That's his stand. It's like Moody Blues, but dumber. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. Exactly. I've deduced the answer. Don't ask me to show my work. Don't do it. Please don't do it. I know I already hear the theme song. I know it's too late, but don't ask, please don't ask. But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Holmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. Problem is, Gregson took my Roomba, did you hear? At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night, in which the victim fought for his life. Yeah, I don't need to see Soiseki's face plastered in my camera like that. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Holmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. Okay, great writer, terrible actor. You can't lie for shit. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. That's a new one. You have somehow managed to twitch while also wiggling. Like, seriously, is there just a cattle prod up your ass? Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Holmes' deduction? This isn't JoJo posing anymore. This is just having a seizure. No, please. Pretend I'm not here. That's impossible. Nope. You're the most impossible to ignore person in this entire franchise. Except for maybe Larry. Yeah, exactly. Ryunosuke and I again on the same page. Iris has the biggest brain, but Ryunosuke's got my brain. Woe be to him. You must tell us everything, Mr. Holmes. Spare no detail. So we can correct you later and get the right answer. But of course, Gregson, my Roomba, please. Oh, fine, here. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. We heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Holmes in the past. Yeah, astounding would probably be one word for them. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? You know what would be a really good miracle? If you pulled Iris out of your pocket and let her do it. So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes' Theatre of Logic and Reason, Act 1. Alright, again, I am blind. I have no idea what's going on here, so... Finally, some stuff I am just completely no clue so far. Let's see what we got. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Disconsolate, yes. What the hell's in his mouth? Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. So Seki doesn't like hearing that. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe... Is that just butter? Oh. 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaning? Indubitably. Meaningful? Indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes. Yeah, why does your soap have bite marks in it? I'm going to need some clarification on that. Could it be that the man was about to eat? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Soiseki just looks at the camera. What? Wait a minute. Excuse me? I'm done already. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. I love that shadow boxing pose. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is dispersed by foul poison. All your soap is poison in this city? Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. I feel we're going to have to point to the cup or something maybe instead. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are 2 perfectly matched to ignore. What the hell? The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. I'm pretty sure any ingestion of soap would be excessive. Like, what is with the murder scenes in this city? Like, you're all crazy. Well, personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. Too much information. Cause of death identified. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? Uh-oh, Soiseki's twitching again. The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. So he'll be back in 3 days, don't worry. Did the man dine and dine alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. He just slides up to him. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. Soiseki's just freaking out over everything. Look at his eyes. He's worse than Naruhodo. I also like how the entire rest of his body is still and his eyes just freaking out. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. How do you know which was the sole key? How do you know how many copies of this key this guy had? In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. Wow, this guy was a sad loser, wasn't he? Just sitting there eating his sad soap. With that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end, in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Yes, fantastic. No possible perpetrator present. Oh, that's some Soiseki level alliteration right there. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' great deduction. So you're deducing that it's a suicide, which means it's probably a murder, or else we wouldn't have a chapter. As usual, Suzuto's got his "I have so many questions" look on her face. That's just her polite version of "I have so many questions." That fish just regenerates, doesn't it? Just boom, you don't pull a new one out. You just half eat one and then it's just like pop. It just pops out like Piccolo's arm. There's just one thing, Mr. Holmes. You are disposed to identify just one thing, are you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but distably appetizing. How extraordinary! I had no idea. I'm going to go out and get soap right now. In truth, I tried a little soap myself in the past. In my college days. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. That's that 1880s logic for you. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. 1 star on Yelp. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. He's shaking so hard he's drilling a hole through the floor. What's going on? I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. More so than usual. Almost if Mr. Holmes's deductions touched a nerve somewhere. Oh. Okay, that was funny. He just gives. Even he's sick of it. Even he's tired of it. It's like, no, I can't keep doing it. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last very long, did it? I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great deductive's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Why would Soiseki have any problems with the deductions as they stand right now? It's not like he's implicated in any way. We're going to end up implicating him, aren't we? Yeah, Mr. Holmes's observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it in at a funny angle. When he does that, now his head's at a funny angle. Now the obtuse angle is your neck. You didn't finish your animation. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Oh, alright then, let's see what we can do. I like the dynamic animation of this. Like even just Suzuro just now coming into frame, but her eyes were to the side looking at Holmes in her usual... I don't know. It's very engaging. All the animations these guys are doing. Yes, we must pick out the keywords of Mr. Holmes's quite brilliant deductions and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. I don't need the tutorial. This is the second game. If we can do that. Sure you can. I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Holmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Also known as you doing my job for me. Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Sherlock Holmes's Theatre of Logic and Reason, Act 1. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Here we go. Careful observation. The victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. I should have remembered that word because it came up the first time. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Uh-oh. And so Seki doesn't like that. So where's the source of the poison? Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. That's a half? That's a half? How big is soap in this freaking country? Why is this soap set so purposely upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact. Yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. Uh-oh. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. How do you know that? What is half here? But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. So, could the man about to be eating some soap? Of course, there's something else. Oh, there's the other half. Okay, I'm not sure that implies he was going to eat it. But if he was going to eat it, why would half be on the floor? I can literally only spin the camera this far. I can't go up and down. I can only go that left and that right. Alright, well, I'm not sure what this implies. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Pretenshi must have really loved that stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look carefully at the soap. Yes, do you see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? How can that be? I think that they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Ah, so that would imply that he wasn't eating it because he didn't eat it. So if these two fit together, could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, this would reveal the answer because it would imply, well, no, he wasn't about to eat it because no bite has been taken from it or anything like that. So let's try that. Let's try it. It's a reach, but let's try it. Hell yeah. Also, it was the only thing I could see that was remotely interesting. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. Why couldn't we see that before? Was it behind the hat from the camera angle? Probably. But it's obvious, really. For no depth of hunger could drive any man to eat soap. That's what I was saying before, Holmes. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo. and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. Well, London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. He didn't eat it. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Holmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Is he, or is he implying that this dude ate something on the plate and then in whatever scuffle that was happened, this is where one half of the soap fell and the other half just fell on the floor? Pure coincidence. We'll see. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Am I going to see... Like, this is still... I can't go up and down. There's only so much I can look at. I mean, there's this as well. I don't know what that stain's about. I was kind of hoping to be able to look at the other side of the fork and maybe there'd be something on it, but... I can't get that angle. Let's look at the fork and see if it gives us a clue. If the victim didn't eat the soap, then what did he eat? Yes, it's a real mystery, isn't it? Ah, I've got it. He wasn't interested in eating the soap at all. It was this fork he wanted to satisfy his hunger with. What? Mr. Naruhodo, I really don't think it's helpful to continue with this line of reasoning that the gentleman has peculiar tastes. I feel like Suzuto just kind of stepping in as like a mom voice whenever Naruhodo says something stupid. Mr. Naruhodo. Suzuto has such a gentle way with words, but I know what I've been told off. Yep, just like Mom did. Alright, is there anything in the teacup? We can see in it from this angle, and there is nothing. What's my victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted... Tainted what? This is conspicuous. Oh, I can't actually examine it. Okay, that in and of itself is telling. This is the only other thing I can think of, especially after that line Suzuto gave. Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. That doesn't explain the fork, though. I'm trying to look at things from funny angles because I know sometimes the game likes to hide things. Or you can only see them at certain perspectives, but I don't see anything else. The teacup would also be weird because the teacup was blatantly obvious from the get-go, whereas usually in this sequence it's something that, oh, you discover it as you move the camera around. Nothing here is discoverable. I don't see anything that's new. Everything that is visible is things we were already aware of, so... This might be a little disappointing, but I'm going to go with it because it's the only thing I can think of. It is it. Alright. Doesn't explain the fork, though. Yeah, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed. Cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. So sucky. Like, he just pops in. He's just freaking out. He's like a weeping angel. Jeez. There's no sight of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. We don't actually have a whole lot of proof of poison. I mean, I guess there's just the foam around his mouth and that's it. And maybe just the lack of evidence of any other cause of death. The cause of death identified by process of elimination. We proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's Last Supper. Did the man dine and die alone? This single teacup suggests the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Potenchi was having a drink of tea. I really hope I'm saying his name right. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Holmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Okay, did the man dine and dine alone? Man, we love this perspective. It's literally just this camera angle and nothing else. There's got to be other things in this room to examine. Even at the Garradibs, we were looking at other stuff. Oh, well. Oh, wait. Oh! What the hell? Okay, I know they keep... The angles are there for a reason. But, yeah. Anyway, clearly the reason the angles were the way they were before was to hide this. Well, did the man dine and dine alone? It's another Western. It's a teacup. Suzuto just putting everyone in their places. And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Potenchi was actually drinking. Maybe he just really liked tea. Ever think of that? But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up till now is turned on its head. If only the camera was 2 inches to the right on all those other deductions. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. Well, that seems obvious. See, that's what I'm talking about, discovering things on different angles. Now we're back to normal. Did the man dine and die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in this room all along. Uh-oh, Soiseki, was one of them yours? In other words, there's a strong indication that the victim's last supper... You know, that would be the easiest investigation ever. I feel like you could just, if Soiseki did murder someone, you could just walk up to him, look him in the eye, and just be like, did you do it? And if he insists he didn't, then he didn't do it. And if he freaks out and can't say anything for 5 minutes because he's having a seizure, then he did do it. There you go. Scotland Yard, I expect my paycheck in the mail. Oh! Never mind, he was drinking with Abraham Lincoln. All right. That ain't no Soiseki. At the very least, we can now say with certainty that someone else was here in the room that night, taking tea with the victim. What? What are you talking about? No, there wasn't. No. It definitely wasn't me. There was nobody here. What are you talking about? To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. Again, the main evidence is Soiseki. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Got any ideas, Soiseki? Allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. You just imagine him screaming in his head. Do you mean to say you know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Good God, man, if you've been looking at him, I'll give you one guess. Seriously. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about, and it's pretty easy to guess based on the way that he is the worst poker face in the history of mankind. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Does Soiseki have like a jacket in here or something? Empty bottle. What does this say? It's empty. Good job. Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it? It makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Suzu's quip and response was cleverer than my original riddle. That's what happens. She's smarter than you. Does Soiseki have glasses? I don't think he does. Oh, maybe it's his books. Are these books of his? Is there a library card in here that says checked out by Soiseki or bought by Soiseki or whatever? At first glance, it seems that the only thing in this costume are the makeshift stages, or the makeshift stage in the costumes. The only thing in this room, yeah. I overlooked these 3 books initially. Who do books remind you of, Soiseki? Huh? I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read... The Picture of Monsieur Lacroix, Canterbury Yearnings, and a Meal... Well, there's a throwback. Yeah, those are the 3 books that Soiseki bought in Trial 4. And then the 4th book was something about lions. Do you remember that? Well, of course you remembered. It was yesterday for you. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. Yesterday, in court. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but... They're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yeah, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Mr. Green was stabbed. Soiseki had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What? What does that mean, do you think? It means he's lying. I really don't know what to make of it. There we go. Pile of familiar books. Let's see. Whoops.
Take that!
Those are just in the way. Indeed, what reveals the answer is, of course, the pile of familiar books. Cue Soiseki freaking out. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Next dialogue is by Soiseki calling it. Yeah, oh, I was about to say, or we could just look at him. Nope, nope, he's going to freak out. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? Got you there. This very moment. Or I could just drill to the center of the earth. No, never, none, negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Woo! I just imagine this is how he walks down the street. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. Most were acting really suspicious. He's just posing in every silhouette. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Okay, now you guys are just taking the piss. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. Okay, that was funny. And again, we see the kind of dynamic animations where he's doing his usual thing, but he's looking off to the side. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in his room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soiseki Natsume. You got nothing. You got nothing. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' great deduction. You just trying to pinch a loaf over there or something? And we're good. Well, that was kind of on the easy side. Still trying to take a dump. Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again. Well then, Mr. Natsume, it would appear you're going to have to accompany me down to the yard. Again, like you said. But wait. Hold your horses. Yes. Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered, he's being even stranger than normal. I don't know. This isn't really that much worse. He's just cranking it from 11 to maybe 11 and a half. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? Well, like I said before, how can you prove that was the only key? You live in the same building after all. You'd have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But. Misery me! Just for the sake of logic and just thinking about it for a minute, would you murder someone the day after you got out of a murder trial? I mean, come on. Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. Ah, you horrible Herlock Holmes. Instead of Herlock Sholmes. Wait, now that's racist. He really has found himself in our tribal now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Oh, I bet you don't like me anymore since I helped deduce this. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me! Please, please! I'm innocent! Okay, he completely forgot that we just helped incriminate him. Alright, that's cool. Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yeah. Why? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. I thought we were already taking care of that for you. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, Soiseki found himself once again the prime suspect in the case of murder. We're coming up on a to be continued, but I don't really care. I feel like going a little bit further. God, the stream looks so beautiful at a proper frame rate now. I just want to keep playing now. I just want to stream all the time now that the thing actually looks decent. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. I did kind of do all the work, didn't I? Oh, we're not going to a to be continued. Okay. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. He told us not to touch anything, but he's not near anymore, so we're going to touch everything. That's right. And what? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Prudential. Ah, Mr. John Garadeb, yeah. I expect we could find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, we have to remember to go talk to him later then. Alright, so what do we want to do first? I have a feeling... Can I go back to the office? Oh? Oh, a ton of things in there. I still can't go back to my shovel. Where do I want to... Is there anything... Well, maybe we can examine this guy now that, you know, the stick in the mud's not here. Oh, the poor man. So young to die. Do you suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was? We still don't have that much evidence of poison here. Let's just be keeping that in mind. I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Does that happen to British people? Do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Yeah, kind of what I was talking about. Sorry? I made sure I had a reference at the ready for just such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? Isn't that the book she just pulls out for everything? I guess the fact that we can move at all, whoops, means that we're probably done here. Maybe we can just go talk to the Garadebs. And see what's happening here. I guess E. Honda will still be in jail, because this is like right after the whole mess there. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. Floor's still burned, I see. We're here because Mr. Garadeb's the one who discovered the incident this morning. Don't forget. Ah, ye chaps, eh? Yeah, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garrett as anyone, really. I haven't burned my leg in 2 days. I'm in heaven, really. Came straight back here after all this business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning. Oh yeah, I forgot you like the word bally. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garrett. Yep, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap on the ground floor room. Those are exactly Mr. Gregson's words, weren't they? Oh, went and got up for us. Well, let's converse. Morning's incident. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I heard that you discovered what had happened. Oh, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer. Don't you have a key? You're the landlord. And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door? Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Didn't have to say that. Well, better be safe and sorry and all that. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Are you going to be the murderer? That's going to be weird after the last trial we saw you in. Actually, you can't be the murderer, because you were the jury foreman 2 months later. Never mind. Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door. Mr. Pretenshi. The victim's name is Mr. Pretenshi, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Pretenshi. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. So he hasn't been here that long. Actually, neither is Suseki. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bully screw loose. So hard to choose which category Seiseki would fall into. Yep, I agree. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. Didn't I just think that? He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays of the old ball myself, you know? Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Pretty sure that's not what they're called. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japan, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there? Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Pretenshi would have much in common. Shakespearean interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude. Stop reading my mind. I know you're cleverer than me, that doesn't mean you're telepathic. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well now, it must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavy, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Garrett noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Mr. Pretenshi got back, and the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you, that was very illuminating. Despite not being illuminating. Is everything all right, Miss Suzuto? Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garrett, you were up here in your room all evening, if I understand correctly. Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean.
What? What kind of face is that? That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you can hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? Oh, I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bully outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then how did you know, Mr. Gilligan?
It's the gas woman. The gas tells me everything.
The gas?
Speaking gas? What the hell is speaking gas?
What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes.
Yeah, I more or less worked that out.
I love that animation. All Susado's animations are charming.
Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside, and the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
Yeah, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain it. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen?
Well, obviously the room would get brighter.
Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment.
What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual, and that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it?
Yeah, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe.
Is that supposed to happen, though? Sounds rather undesirable.
Probably a good point. The fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty helpless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguished lamps up here, and they glow brighter in the rest of the house.
Oh, right, I see. So by watching the flicker of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere.
You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires.
Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garrett. God, you must be so bored to do that. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it, really. I just realized something. Okay. I just had a funny thought. I wondered, because usually I get at least a few viewers on these streams, but I realized just from my streaming other stuff over the week, I had made all my streams private, because obviously I don't want you watching my test garbage. I'm just curious real quick, is this stream private too? I don't think it is. No, it shouldn't be, because I'm watching on another channel, or another account. Okay. Probably nothing then. Nothing to it, really. I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrett is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. I don't know. I feel like it's just, you know, he's up here and he's so freaking bored that he just notices when the lights change. And it's like, oh, I can tell who moved and did what and whatever. Can I go? What's going on here? Oh, there were people popping in and out of the stream. Okay, fine. It is public. All right. Just double checking. Oh. Really? Nothing to do with here? I guess the whole thing didn't happen out here, so maybe that's... Alright. I still can't go back to my office, can I? That's weird. The prison. Well, I might as well go here. See what comes up. Keep knocking out that green text. Oh. Huh. Okay. That's just pointless then. Okay, now I'm a little bit stuck. Where am I supposed to be going? Let's come back here. They did say we get to examine things now that Gregson's not here.
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Potenshi and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside. I'm not planning on drinking anything, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. That's true. So, one was Mr. Potenshi's, and the other must have been the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from. But Soiseki wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. Ah, here we go. Teacups, the one with the green line around the rim was Mr. Natsume's. Oh, okay, now we're getting stuff. Let's take a look at these. Oh, one of these has a ring. And one of them does not. This must be the cup that Mr. Potenshi was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. Yeah, and the other one isn't. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Oh, really? I've never noticed before. You've never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture. And most of them are Japanese. Why don't you do a proper tea ceremony, Mr. Naruhodo? So can I get a notice that there's no mark in here? This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking. Yeah, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always gulp it down, too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it gets cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. Aha! Okay, so we are getting info. I don't think there's anything... Is there anything else of note here? They both got cracks. I was going to say this one's got a little bit of... No, they both have marks on the... Or stains on the rims there, I guess, where lips have been. This one's got a little gray mark, but I'm not sure... No, that doesn't mean anything. Alright. That's maybe all we're getting out of that. We still have this stuff. Interesting. Alright, what else we got in here? Whoops! Alright, whatever. What's this? It looks like part of an envelope, I think. Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was a piece of glass. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Ah, she's right. And yet here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. We better take this just in case, too. Get in the inventory. Look at these extravagant, bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings-on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. Oh, I think he'd be more suited to a feudal lord, a daimyo or such like. With a con mage top knot? Every Japanese man wishes he had a con mage. I don't even know. You're definitely making words up now. Is that what Ouchie had? Oh, you'd look wonderful with one, and you already have the sword. Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a con mage and a sword? I can't, because I don't know what that is. Okay, hang on. Hang on, it's friggin' time for Google. There's no way that's a word, is it? Is that a word? My God, that's a word. Oh, that's that thing.
It's not just a top knot. It's something that makes your head... It's almost like a broom handle on your head. Okay, I've seen that before, so that's what the word for it is. I learned something today. Alright. Do we want to examine the window? Well, we might as well. Let's just examine everything. I see one of Mr. First's hats up there.
As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons had to pay. What strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. We learned about that last game. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in a property. It's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh, what is it, Miss Suzuto? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Oh, was this guy cheating? He was able to open his window. What? Huh? Was this guy some sort of soap smuggler? Like, what the hell? Why is there soap everywhere in this guy's house? He's hiding soap. Is there a soap tax? It looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Pretentious who did it, I wonder, before the lodger renting this room? Or being the lodger renting this room? Are we not going to comment on the soap? Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something else. Those don't look like they're on a ledge. Those look like they're even with the bricks. What? Outside? Should I go outside and look at it? Brr, it's so cold outside. You can feel it through the cap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is it on the window ledge up there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. The hell? What? Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. I think they look ominous. We're just going to find soap just all over, hiding, watching, judging. We're going to find out later that it's sentient. It's some sort of alien life form. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all. Oh dear. I suppose we could. See, this is where Suzuto got her taste for messing with the crime scene. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah. Do you see in the middle there? There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. Is it like a seal for a letter? It looks like the Hinamaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. Yeah, it kind of does. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Okay, can we inspect the red dot? Okay, first of all, I'm assuming this window. Yeah, that's good. No. Get back in there. I must inspect your soap, sir. Ah, okay. Not quite a seal. It's just a spot. This part's a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it? Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special. I'm not just saying that because it looks like the flag of Japan. I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinamaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap. That doesn't seem likely given who it belongs to. So I didn't get anything out of that? That's all I'm getting? Okay, well, I mean, that's going to be important somehow, but it didn't change the evidence, so I guess we're done. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't expect this yet. This got anything going on? Anything fancy? This doesn't look like a letter. Oh, no, it does look like a letter. It's hollow. All right. Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? It's an awfully weird shape. Maybe it got torn off when something was lying on top of it. We're going to have to fit this silhouette of it. Because even if you rip a letter, it doesn't do this. Like, that's awfully straight and jagged. Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temper. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Miss Suzuto, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You can never read too much of it, Naruhodo. Never! It's like how Psy'Min learns everything about how to deduce and stuff from playing Danganronpa games.
I need to get back to my stream on my tab on my other thing now that I finished Googling Cron Mage. Alright. What else we got here? This is a First hat. This looks like something Mr. First would make.
There's not much on these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yeah, not much use, are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and that he should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it next time we meet. Whoops. Nothing particular of note. What about this wig? Nothing? Not the hat? We can examine that side later. Wait a minute. What about this? That's conspicuous. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. This is responsible for the gas.
This is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Wow. Like right there in the room. A vending machine for gas. Ah, I see. Yeah, now that you've pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here...
That's right. It would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. Oh! I have looked at all the things. That's probably going to be Gregson, right? Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Yep. Inspector Gregson, back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. And why wasn't he in the clink? We went to the gallows and no one was there. The gaol. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we better be leaving then. We're getting kicked out.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in his cell again so soon.
Wait, what? I was about to say, dude dropped his fork. He's doing other things. Guys, I think we solved the case. I think we solved the case. We should probably go and, What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? What is with this frickin' game? Like, it just does weird shit like this. What is happening? Is there just not a case anymore? What's going on? What is this about? Can't wait to see your reaction. The frick? What are you doing? Well, we're going to have to overdramatic this guy. I can't even remember what I did for him last game. Out! Out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Can you just fall over dead after this again? Because I only want to do your voice a little bit. Or are you just alive again? Now, how soundeth the next part? Okay, well, Gregson's read his Shakespeare. But, okay. You seem to be taking this well. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed! Oh, happy day! What? What is... What? Again, I want Ryunosuke here. What the hell is going on? Is this for real? Did that just... Is he drunk? Is he pulling a Hifumi? What the hell's going on? Walking Dead. What happens? Hey, Gregson, what do we do when the dead person is tampering with the crime scene? Because the corpse just moved itself. So is he dead for real now? What the hell? The fella isn't dead at all. Okay, so he is just alive.
What was that nonsense he was saying, though? Check your book of everything, Susanoo. I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth.
God, I haven't read Macbeth since high school.
A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. Shakespeare.
Okay, so case still not closed then, right?
So it was that the victim, Mr. William Pretenshi, came back to life.
If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. Whatever the crime is, some sort of crime happened. Whatever occurred to this room, it wasn't wholesome. Hey, Soseki, the dude's not dead. Let's go grab beers.
Whatever do you think will happen now?
Good question. Again, this game just doesn't want to commit to a murder when it comes to Soiseki. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Also, I'm hearing a sound in my ear. It sounds like horse clopping. Something's acting up with my mic, or there's something moving around in the background of the game. But it is interesting that both of the cases, if this turns out to be the case, that the victim didn't actually die on Soiseki's watch. And I wonder if that's going to have something to do with the curse that's associated with Van Zeeks. Because obviously Cosney, as we're going to be calling him from now on, instead of like Cosney McGundle, not McGilded, Magnus, he died. Still waiting on what's going to happen to Gina. But, yeah. Mr. Soseki-san is going to be involved with two cases that aren't murders. And it's coincidental that he's the one involved with both. So I wonder how that's going to play out.
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place.
Well done, Susanoo. You have been reading Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
It seems very likely that Mr. Pretenshi did consume poison as we deduced. But was it an accident? Attempted suicide? Or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so, because they're all racist. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's that dude. There's the soap. I was wondering before when we found it if we were going to have to come over here and inspect it from the outside, but there's the soap, and there's Mr. Chin from the first game. What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soiseki's lodgings. Soiseki's lodgings? Soiseki's on the second floor.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me, can we have a word? What the hell reaction is that, you bobblehead? Oh, we got another JoJo character here. What's your stand? He just ran off.
I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
I do too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Except, first of all, a much better idea is to go back to the office. There we go. Now that she's here to defend the shovel argument again. Aw, this pleasant little tune. Why is this place so much emptier? I guess because this is still in the flashback. Yeah, we just moved up here, like, just... No, we would have moved up here after McGundle's trial. Perhaps we should put this spade away somewhere, because it's a spade.
That's not a spade, Naruhodo, it's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel.
She just leans in. Gives him the evil eye. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're so right, Naruhodo. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles.
On reflection, then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is.
Yes, I think that's for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden.
What garden? Alright. I mean, that's pretty clearly a spade. I mean, look at it. It's got the spade shape. And it is for digging. That's what the point's for. Anyway, let's see. I think that's it for investigation stuff for the first part here. So let's go actually do productive things. Oh, Mr. Potential's room's off limits now. Can we visit? It looks like we can. Okay. I mean, I hate this guy, but I love this guy. He's a card. Oh, he's wearing. I just noticed he's wearing Japanese sandals. Has he been wearing those this whole time? Has he been walking around in the British snow in Japanese wooden sandals for like the last, however long? Boy, you're a stubborn one. At least he's wearing his suit. He was wearing his housecoat when he went back to Japan. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Yeah, that. I'm just refusing to say that in case anyone hadn't noticed. Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me! Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Holmes. Is he hanging from the ceiling again? He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost. He calls himself a great detective, no one else. But his diabolical deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Here comes the four-piece alliteration. Oh, never mind. Ah, cursed. I'm cursed, I tell you. Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in the deduction, too. Ixnay on the deduction, eh? Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh? I'm actually curious how he's going to react to this. Because maybe he... I don't know. Let's see. The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. So it is a ghost. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. Isn't that great? Isn't it? Mr. Natsume? Great, isn't it? Is it great? Great? Isn't that great news? Is it good? Do you like it? Does it make you happy? It's terrible! Oh. I'm stuck in this cell, suffering. We're so silly. Wrong into the stick. See, I see what you did there. You used the C in cell as an S, and that's just not... I don't know. I'm not sure that counts. You did it, didn't you? Confess! You're a killer! Why the mustache? Why the two mustaches? Constant questions! I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that selfish shyster. Also, we have to remember that when he's yelling in all caps, he's actually speaking English. I guess. Or is he just talking in English all the time because we're in Britain? Maybe that was just when he was in Japan there. Make up your mind. Maybe when he's yelling here, it's in Japanese. Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you're going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly, wishy, washy, William! Well, it seems likely that Mr. Potenchi was never actually dead in the first place. I actually noticed as I was kind of looking over some stuff, I think this character's name was actually something like Shakespeare. So, the dude, the guy in the room downstairs isn't actually William Shakespeare, but he keeps saying William. It's like William Shamspeare or something along those lines. Not Potenchi. So I'm not sure why it says Potenchi here, unless it was just the fan translation. But why not just leave it William Shakespeare? I don't know. I'm going to have to keep in mind that guy is apparently William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare has... No, he's not been killed. He's alive. Okay, I need to keep remembering. He's not a corpse. Ah, yes, that might make sense. And I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last. So he was there. Oops. Why oops? Why do you care anymore? It's not a crime scene. Mr. Natsume, does that mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Potenchi, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Saiseki, who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. I have a feeling we're wrapping up the investigation portion here pretty soon. Why am I cursed like this? Here we go. Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell. But
Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. I'm eternally grateful for you to helping me with that accursed case yesterday.
Yeah, we're talking about the case now, buddy.
The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back.
Again, we visited her. I wonder how she's going to factor into this. And also that kid in the picture. I don't know if that's her brother or what, but I know he comes up somehow. How does that all factor in?
It's hard to believe that was only yesterday. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening at past 9, it must have been, I visited Mr. Pretenshi.
So you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared. I didn't do anything wrong. I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time.
What made you decide to go? Also, what was he like when you left? Was he alive? Was he slumped over? What was going on?
I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell.
That ties in with what Mr. Garrett had said, that the victim went out and came back around 8.
We met again later that evening at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift.
So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then?
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
His works, yes.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet. Who was the strongest? It was a delightful debate.
Like in an arm wrestling competition? I'm not sure that's... Boy, that work of art has changed over the years, hasn't it?
Such a stimulating subject. Shakespeare!
And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Pretentious tea. Is that what you did? This isn't a leading question or anything.
No, never, not at all. What a question. I didn't even ask that. Team Juliet won! That was me! And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear it, categorically.
So he was alive. He was fine. So, the Reaper prosecuted you yesterday. You're gonna die. Mr. Nutsman, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence.
Well, I am in Britain, after all. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time I've learned that it's no place for me. It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
Yeah, go try living in Japan for a year.
There are foreigners everywhere I look.
Wow, foreigners in this foreign country. My God.
And they'll stare at me. They'll laugh. That's the impression I get wherever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember. And then 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why?
But why? Why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable.
Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money. It spoke to me. It spoke to me on a spiritual level. I cost very little.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed.
Cursed? Cursed how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh, no. Really?
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead, and no one could explain why.
Calling it, that's the kid in the picture. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. And that's why the girl was walking down the street because she was just kind of in mourning and okay. I betcha.
I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning.
Brave or blinkered?
But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible the room's history really was. Gosh, was it really so awful?
Let me dance for you the song of my people.
How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened? At first, it was just a feeling of beady eyes boring into the back of my head, watching me. Do you think that maybe just have been your mind playing tricks on you? No, my mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place. A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who've died in that room, looking over me in my sleep and try to strangle me. All the souls who've died. I thought it was just the one. That really is horrible. And now I've come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Potenchi was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room. You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible. You can bunk with us. Please, God, no. Yes, you're right. I know it. And that's why I'm already searching for the next room of the history to call home.
He's just ready to sprint for it. And go.
I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodations with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
God, that was good. Can I steal that?
Suzuto knows how to make the man listen.
All right, you pent-up little freak.
Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
You mean Mr. Garadab?
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Oh, so the last person to rent it didn't die there. Everybody who's rented it has died there. Oh, fantastic.
Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place. Perhaps that may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements.
You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms.
What do you mean
He pays so much attention to the gas lamps?
Oh, dear, no. It's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please, forget I said anything. Oh, now that you're talking about me behind my back as well.
What's important is that Mr. Potenchi isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released.
Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right.
Excuse me. I'm going to assume this is Gregson. But, yeah. Well, we're about to find out why we're going to court, because there's no reason to go to court if we're just waiting for the guy to wake up. Yep, it's Gregson. Dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. You may be a thumb, but your theme song slaps, I'll just be honest with you. Inspector Gregson, I couldn't help overhearing what you just said. And on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. I like how he's looking to the side. What you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. And why did you ask me my preference? See, you just gave the man hope only to take it away, Gregson. You're a prick. As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Princely, was just unconscious. He's come around now. Yeah, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Depends on what the statement is.
Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell.
Sorry? No, that's not on the cards.
What? Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Potenchi has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night.
Implicated someone? Oh, dear. You don't mean...
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume.
Ah!
What exactly happened? Was it poison? Like, what's going on? By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. that wickedest Kothif, Soiseki Natsume.
No, not ye old English.
So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations.
No!
That's a new one. Getting ready for a facepalm.
So once again, Soseki found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. To be continued? To be continued? To be continued. Hell yeah, son.
I'll take a 2.5 hour stream. Sure will. All right. That timed out well. Not only did it time out well, but just in the times I've been peeking over at the stream, it has been looking really good. I haven't seen any real choppiness or frame drops or nothing. The real test is going to be sticking it to the man, because that is going to be just... Yeah, that's... That one's a CPU hog, I'm going to be honest with you. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, we are done. We are done like dinner. I'm going to try to have the hypnosis recording up tomorrow. I need to record that tonight because I'm just going to be busy. I got a lot of clients tomorrow. So, yeah, that's going to be good. We're going to have Stick It to the Man, finish that, hopefully finish that up. I believe I'm close to the end. It's hard to say, but I'm really just interested to see how much easier it streams. If I can get things more and more consistent, that's going to help a lot, because there are times when I would just love to stream, but the stream looks like garbage, and I'm not going to subject you guys to that more than I can help it. I mean, subjecting you to Stick It to the Man, if any of you guys watched that, you already know what I'm talking about. But I'm really looking forward to Melty Blood. I want to test that game. I want to see how well it streams, because that's going to be fun. That's going to be a good time. I want to put some time into that. May even do some Guilty Gear Strive at some point, but I also have to be mindful that we are almost into October, and October means we're going to be playing some horror games, again, as much as this game allows us to. Again, these trials look like they're going to get longer, so I have a feeling we're not going to finish this game in October, even though we've only got about 3 trials left. It's not like we can do in 2-parters like we've been doing all the other trials. I have a feeling they're going to be getting a little longer than that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye out. Follow me on Twitter. Please follow me here on YouTube. Let me know which videos you're enjoying. The hypnosis videos continue to do well, and I actually got a positive comment on one of those the other day, which was nice. Just engage, be here for the chat, watch the schedule so that you know when I'm going to be around, so that you're here to chat. And again, like, follow, subscribe on Twitter. It helps out a lot. It helps me know what's working, what's not working, what you guys like, things like that. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.